Speaker Nancy Pelosi sending a clear message to President Trump. This is my house. Pelosi telling the president to postpone the State of the Union address, currently set for January 29th, or deliver it in writing as presidents of yore once did. The speaker citing security concerns due to the government shutdown. The annual address is traditionally given following an invitation from the Speaker of the House, which she once extended. Pelosi insisted today that she was not disinviting the president, but that message seems to have eluded other members of the House Democratic leadership, such as Majority Leader Steny Hoyer.
The State of the Union is off.
The State of the Union is off.
Hoyer's staff tried to walk that back, but Hoyer's not alone. Democratic Caucus Chairman Hakeem Jeffries tweeted, President Trump, quote, will not be permitted to deliver his State of the Union address until government is reopened. Welcome to life in the new Democratic majority. Get used to it. We're on day 26 of the partial federal government shutdown. Nearly 1 million Americans not getting a paycheck, with the ripple effects felt throughout the nation. Reminder, this is economic pain that the federal government of the United States is willingly, currently, inflicting upon its own citizens. The Republican-controlled Senate had passed a government spending bill. The president said he wasn't going to sign it. He demanded funding for his border wall. CNN's Caitlin Collins starts off our coverage from the White House.
The State of the Union to be determined after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi suggested President Trump postpone his scheduled address until the government reopens or deliver it in writing.
This requires hundreds of people working on the logistics and the security of it. Most of those people are either furloughed or victims of the shutdown.
Pelosi citing security concerns in her letter to the president, adding he's still welcome to make the address, just not on Capitol Hill.
You can make it from the Oval Office if you want.
The Department of Homeland Security Secretary pushing back on Pelosi's claims, tweeting that the department and Secret Service are fully prepared to support and secure the State of the Union. Canceling the State of the Union means Trump won't be able to make his case for the border wall during the primetime television address, as aides were planning on if the shutdown was still going. But Pelosi's letter, which she said was just a suggestion, creating confusion on Capitol Hill.
She has said, as long as government shut down, we're not going to be doing business as usual.
So the State of the Union is off.
The State of the Union is off.
Despite CNN reading the letter to Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, the congressman's aides now saying he misspoke. On day 26 of the record-breaking shutdown, Trump lunching with a group of bipartisan House members, named the Problem Solvers Caucus, though officials weren't expecting a breakthrough, and the White House only issued this statement after, saying, "We look forward to more conversations like this." As the shutdown starts to take a toll on the country, even Republican lawmakers are getting frustrated.
I am sympathetic to strengthening our security at the border, but shutting down government is not the way to achieve that goal.
That frustration causing senators to circulate a letter on Capitol Hill today, calling on Trump to reopen the government for 3 weeks and then debate funding the border wall. But that proposal doesn't look promising, and sources tell CNN White House officials were privately urging lawmakers not to sign it.
Do you know what the White House strategy is to end the government shutdown?
No, I don't think there is a strategy by either President Trump or Mrs. Pelosi.
Now, Jake, Nancy Pelosi had invited President Trump to speak on January 29th, but she hadn't introduced the legislation to make it official for the time and the date, something that has to pass both the House and the Senate. Now, if Nancy Pelosi doesn't introduce that resolution, there will be no presidential address to Congress. It's been several hours since Nancy Pelosi publicly released that letter this morning, and the White House has still had no response, Jake.
All right, Caitlin Collins at the White House. Thanks so much. Let's discuss this. First of all, I don't even know where we are on whether or not there's actually an invitation to the State of the Union because of all the mixed messages. But let's assume that Nancy Pelosi is actually saying you're not going to have State of the Union until the government's reopened. This is depriving the president of a big national platform, which we know he likes.
Yeah, first of all, we are edging dangerously close to my having to confront a longtime promise that I would probably vote for anyone who submitted the State of the Union in writing instead of doing this. So for me personally, this is an issue. But No, I think it's problematic for him because obviously he wants that platform. I think there's some options for him that would be unconventional, as this is unconventional. We're having this fight is unconventional for this long, that he could perhaps go to the Senate or he could do it from the Oval Office. I think he will likely end up doing it on the date because he gets national TV coverage and that's what he wants.
Well, listen to Nancy Pelosi. She had an alternative suggestion for the president.
This is a housekeeping matter in the Congress of the United States so that we can honor the responsibility of the invitation we extended to the president. You can make it from the Oval Office.
He can make it from the Oval Office.
Yeah, it would cost less, and it would certainly not extend and stretch so many federal agencies. I think the important thing that we're losing here, because it's like more drama, I think the practical aspects of what she submitted to him, which was a recommendation, it was not a reneging of an invitation, it was a recommendation that until government is fully open and agencies are fully funded, perhaps we should postpone the State of the Union. It's a firm suggestion.
Yes.
And I think that what is important here is the Secret Service was designated as a part of standing up the Homeland Security, the Department of Homeland Security, as the agency responsible for national special security events. Secretary Nielsen decided that the State of the Union is one of these events. They are the lead agency in charge. They are not operating fully, just like many other government agencies are not, and haven't been for 26 days.
Right, but Nielsen, Nielsen says, Secretary Nielsen, that they can do it. That they're not being paid a lot of this.
Based on what resources, though?
Well, they're working without pay, is what she says. I mean, I'm not supporting it. I mean, they should all be paid. Everybody who works for the government should be paid. But that said, I mean, she says they can do it.
Yeah, well, listen, the speaker is basically saying, not in my house, not on my watch, as long as the government is shut down. You have other leaders within her caucus saying something totally different than what she's saying, just basically making it clear, Mr. President, you are not welcome in this house until the shutdown is over.
And she is right. Speaker Pelosi is right. That is her house, and she is the Speaker of the House. However, it is our Constitution under which this president is required to update members of Congress and America on the State of the Union. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in this particular forum, but that's traditionally how this has gone. I completely understand what Speaker Pelosi was trying to do. However, and security is an important issue. However, she should have called Secret Service before and even raised, hey, is this a problem? Because based on what I'm hearing from folks here in Washington, she didn't reach out. She didn't say, hey, is this a concern? She went ahead proactively and made that assumption. But they're going to do their job. That's what they do.
I think, so I worked for the Homeland Security Committee on the Hill. The chairman of the Homeland Security Committee, Benny Thompson, who has responsibility of overseeing the Secret Service as well as the full Department of Homeland Security, is saying that he fully supports this recommendation of Pelosi. So whether Pelosi herself checked or not, I can guarantee you that Congressman Thompson is talking to the agency.
So let me take it a little broader right now. In a way, Mary Catherine, is this not what Donald Trump wants? We're all sitting around this table talking about Nancy Pelosi versus Donald Trump, whether or not there's funding, whether or not the Secret Service can do this, blah, 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 as opposed to real hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Americans who are legitimately suffering, Coast Guard personnel, FBI agents, et cetera, because the Republicans passed a bill to fund the government, and President Trump says, no, I'm not going to sign it because it doesn't have border wall funding.
Yes. Do I think more drama generally works to his advantage? Yes. Do I think he planned it that way? No, I don't think he had a strategy for that. And I have a lot of confidence that the Secret Service can pull off a giant event, even in the event of a shutdown. So that I'm not as worried about, even though I do not always have the greatest faith in all government agencies. But I do think that they can handle that job, even in the event.
But it's what you said.
It's about the shutdown. I mean, period. I mean, if I were the speaker, I wouldn't have said it's about security. It's about the almost 1 million people who don't have a job. Let's just be crystal clear about what this is about. This is about the president abdicating his responsibility to take the deal that will put people back to work. So you have people, their families suffering, the economy is suffering, everybody is suffering because the president continues to have a big temper tantrum over a wall. So let's just be plain. It's about the people.
I think clearly we can all agree, everyone will agree, no one wins in a shutdown. The people that are out of work, the people that rely on their work, and many people here in government that need the services of those who are out of work. And the reality is Republicans and Democrats here in Washington need to agree on two things. This is not about Trump's big, beautiful wall that Mexico is not going to pay for. This is about border security. And to the degree they can agree that is the issue, that's what they need to do. Okay. And compromising is not caving. They're so worried about appearing they're caving when they're avoiding the real need here is what's a compromise.